Hi, this is Barney Treadway with the Wine Education Institute with the wine list creation and service temperature section of the Certified Sommelier and Certified Advanced Sommelier programs. Now, as far as creating your list, your reps will often offer to build the list for you, saving you time. They'll have it printed, saving you money. We suggest that you don't do it. You need relationships with multiple reps for multiple products, and also to be able to work the reps against each other for placements. Finding a rep that doesn't charge you for broken cases is another plus. It's often great to be able to buy just a few bottles to see what is going to move before committing to full case purchases. You need flexibility for products. You need to take your time. You need to go to tastings. I suggest using an app like Vivino or Delectable and put every wine you taste in there. You have no idea when you're going to want to recall a wine that you had 1 year, 2 year, 5 years, 10 years ago. Remember that a good list is one that gets used. It's going to take you some time to see how your guests react to your list, which ones are more popular and which ones are not. This is not your personal cellar. If you think about your knowledge, your palate has taken years to develop. It's very unlikely that your guests are going to have the same sophistication of palate that you have. That gorgeous burnt blood on hot stones from a Saint-Joseph, or the smoky diesel-y with a touch of slate from Riesling that we go crazy over. It may be considered a fault to a standard guest who does not have the sophistication, or maybe not sophistication, but experience to recognize those as signs of quality. Another reason you want to be patient is for closeouts. Usually once or twice a year, the distributor is making room for new wines, and those wines that you're after can be half the price. Known versus unknown. It's great for a guest to be able to see a wine on your list and go, oh, I know that wine, I love that wine. The challenge is, if they know and love that wine, they're used to buying it at an off-premise or retail price, and you're going to have it at 3, 4, 5 times the markup on your list. A nice play is to find clones of some of the popular name brands out there, your Rombauers and your Mayomis. There are a whole host of wines that cost much less and deliver on that same profile. However, these wines are not going to move if you or your staff can't make the cross-sell. That said, it doesn't hurt to have a couple of trophy wines, especially in the American market. There's a lot of insecurity about wine, and especially guys, when we want to show off, we love to be able to find a name that we recognize that our guests will be impressed with us from. We're not talking about wines like a DRC or Taurasi. We're talking about Opus One, we're talking about Prisoner, we're talking about Sassicaia. Those guys you can put on your list with a big fat margin, because if people are showing off, they're a little less concerned about how much it's going to cost. Now, we've all experienced the markup in restaurants, and you, when designing your list, you may want to be more fair by having a smaller markup. Remember, it takes room to store wine, and it takes a paid professional to open it. Make sure the service is done right and embrace that markup. Time in your cellar should also be considered an investment, and make sure to increase incrementally the price of that wine over time as it ages in your cellar. You need to own your list, and you need to know your list. You need to know the vintage changes, and if they matter. You need to know the cross-sells. You need to know the stair step from one wine to another, the introduction versus the top tier. It's your list, but you need to share this information. You do not want to be responsible for opening every bottle of wine in your restaurant. It's fine if you want to do so when it's convenient, but wine service should not have to wait for you to be available. As far as training your servers, staff meetings, we in the industry know, they're pretty much useless. You need to get your staff engaged with the wines on your list. This is not a simple tasting after work. This is every wine they taste, they write a note card on. Get them talking about acid, body, structure, cross-sell, upsells. Get them engaged and they'll remember. In case of out of stock of a certain selection, have the ability to cross-sell. An upsell in this situation is generally not appreciated. If you are going to provide a higher quality wine, make sure it's at the out of stock wine's price. Proper use of this technique, even when possibly the wine is not out of stock, can lead your customer to higher priced and higher quality wine experiences that they may not have ever ventured to on their own. Take for example Brunello. We have a Chianti Classico on our list, and we have a Brunello on the list. The Brunello obviously is much more expensive. Chianti is well known. Chianti is a safe bet. Regular customer, I'm sorry we don't have the Chianti this evening. It'll be here in 2 days or whatever it is, but I'd like to offer you the Brunello at the same price of the Chianti. Experience Brunello, see what Sangiovese can do, and now every time that customer comes in, it's high margin, high price Brunello. Make sure you pay attention to your menu when you're building your list. Having a bunch of oaky Chardonnay with sushi is not going to work. You may not like Lambrusco, Secco Lambrusco, or a Lodi Zin, but if you have rich barbecue sauce, barbecue ribs, those are magical pairings. You may be afraid of the demi-sec Vouvray or a 10% Spätlese Riesling, but those with sushi instead of a oaky Chardonnay, they sing. You may have some personal favorites that you want on your list, but if they don't work with the food, maybe they don't belong on your list. Because wine may not destroy a dish, but it can definitely elevate one. A slightly salty sauce, slightly overcooked lean protein can be salvaged by the right wine. Get your chef and your staff involved in experimentation. Sampling a menu item with wine is a wonderful way to do it, but they have to pay attention, they have to write notes. Yes or no answers are not helpful. You need your chef to engage, understand salt, understand sugar, understand the acid in wine, and see how good this can be. Now with regard to list format, even us in the trade can't be expected to remember if the mid-70s were better than the early 80s in left bank versus right bank or in Burgundy. Do you have descriptions with your food items, even something as ubiquitous as a Caesar salad? Do you actually say what's in it? Why not give your wine at least the same amount of support? Give some detail on your list. Just a single line, if not more, letting people know why this wine is on your list and why it's special. Yes, we know the wine lists that have hundreds of pages, line after line after line. Those lists are designed to force subservience to the somm. They're not for the guest. The somm has learned to, if not recognize the difference, to pretend that they do. With regard to list composition, make sure you have a path through the woods. Make sure you have a way from your by the glass section or your more affordable bottles, a way to stair-step people into higher quality and higher priced wines. If you have a Luberon or a Ventoux or a Côte d'Aron by the glass, that can be a perfect gateway into Châteauneuf, into Cornas, and even into Hermitage. It only works if your staff knows how to make those connections. An orphan Torrossi on your list could stay there for years unless you have a Del Vorture or a Campagna Aglianico to open the door to appreciation of Aglianico. organization. You can't sell wine that you can't find. And that means not only you, but your staff. Find a simple and reliable way to organize the wines in your cellar. Add the wine's name into your POS. Understand that if you have a Chateau Palmer Margaux, the guests may ask for the Margaux. They may ask for the Chateau Palmer. They may ask for the Palmer Margaux. Your server needs to know that all three of those words are one wine. If you have created a map, make sure that on the map it says Palmer Margaux, Chateau Palmer Margaux, so they can properly find the wine without coming to you. When staff are tasting wines, have them pay attention to the service temperatures. Now there are standards with service temperatures. We've got our sweet and sparkling needing to be well chilled. The light body whites and rosés, chilled. Full-bodied white and light-bodied reds are lightly chilled, and then our medium to full-bodied reds are closer to room temperature. Now the classic service temperatures for wine tend to follow the European household temperatures. In the US, we tend to drink our white wines too cold and our red wines too warm. Understanding your guest and what their expectations are can help you adjust. It's impossible for a restaurant to have a wine refrigeration and storage system that covers all the perfect temperatures for the wide range of wines. But what you can do is you can have a brine bath, 3 cups of salt to 3 gallons of water filled with ice, to be able to adjust the temperature quickly and easily in such cases where you need to. In my restaurant, we served a big oaky Chardonnay that was too cold, down about 40 degrees. It was sent back as being unacceptable. Warmed it in my hands for 3 minutes, poured into another glass, and it was the best wine that they ever had. A wine like Sauvignon Blanc is often served too cold. The acid gets abrasive, the aromatics don't come out until it's at 40 to 45 degrees. Try it and you'll see. Other guidelines besides those: if the body's higher, the temperature can tend to be a little bit warmer. Higher aromatics tend to like more milder or cool rather than cold temperature. Wines that are clumsy or not very good, colder the better. And like I said, culture will predispose optimal service temperatures. Having a brine bath on hand, even if the wine has to be chilled by leaving the table, you can get there in 2 to 3 minutes with a brine bath. Generally, your choices are a bucket of ice, throwing the bottle in the freezer, or a brine bath. The brine bath is by far the most consistent and efficient way to chill a bottle of wine. There are specifics in the manual on time to chill temperatures and best practices. But for instance, a 2-minute bath on a Willamette or Burgundy from your standard 68-70 degree cellar temperature can do wonders for that wine. Pulling a bottle of sparkling out that may be at 40 degrees and being able to put it in a brine bath for even 2 minutes will make the wine show better, especially to a discerning palate. So thanks for joining us. Hope this video has been helpful. You'll find greater depth of material on the website or in the Sommelier Certification Manual.